Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another video. It is that time of the week again. It is Premier League predictions time. Another round of Premier League fixtures is upon us. We are now into match day 9 of the new season, about a quarter of the way through the new campaign, and things are really beginning to get interesting if they weren't already before. But before we get into predicting this weekend's round of Premier League fixtures, that throws up a lot of interesting and some massive fixtures, to say the least, at both ends of the table. I would like to remind you all to please like the video and also subscribe if you're new. Both things always and forever be greatly appreciated. But for now, let's get back into predicting the round of fixtures for this weekend's Premier League, beginning with Friday night's encounter between Arsenal and Aston Villa. Yes, we're kicking things off with Friday night's fixture between Arsenal and Aston Villa at the Emirates Stadium. So fantasy football managers, get your teams ready for Friday because it is set to go down early this week. Last time out, Arsenal scored a late equaliser to rescue a point against Crystal Palace, whilst Villa suffered a complete collapse, a complete capitulation at the hands of Wolves, as Villa lost a 2-goal lead to lose 3-2 overall last weekend. It's a big and interesting game, this one, for your Friday night viewing. Both sides will fancy their chances coming into this game. Both teams have dangerous players that can hurt the other. It could be a bit of an entertaining game in prospect on Friday night. I'm torn though. As far as my prediction goes, I'm torn. I'm torn between a Villa victory and a draw. I think I am going to go with a Villa win. I'm just going to give them the edge just a little bit. I'm not entirely confident when I say it, but my gut feeling is that Villa will win here in this game, and that's why I'm predicting a 2-1 Villa win. Next up is a top of the table versus bottom of the table clash at Stamford Bridge, as Saturday's lunchtime fixture sees Chelsea take on Norwich. The Blues were victorious last time out when they beat Brentford 1-0 last weekend, whilst Norwich battled to a point against Brighton. Should be one of the more predictable results this weekend. I say should because obviously nothing is ever a given, especially not in the Premier League. But Chelsea should be comfortable winners here nonetheless. But that doesn't mean it will definitely happen, of course. And we've seen stranger things happen in the past, but I'm saying the smart choice this weekend is to go for a Chelsea victory, and that's why I'm going for a 3-0 Blues win. Draw specialists Crystal Palace clash with Newcastle as the Eagles take on the Magpies at Selhurst Park. Palace drew 2-2 with Arsenal on Monday night, whilst Newcastle lost 3-2 to Tottenham on Sunday in what was Steve Bruce's final game in charge of the Magpies. Palace enter this game in a bit of the unknown here. At the time of recording, obviously, the Newcastle haven't appointed a new manager yet, and so they've got a caretaker, interim kind of manager taking charge of this game. So it just adds yet another layer of possible difficulty to this fixture. Palace have been no pushovers by any means this season. There's a reason why they picked up 5 draws so far this campaign, the most of any Premier League side so far during this season. Therefore, my prediction actually is that Palace will just about edge this game. I think that a draw wouldn't surprise me, but I'm actually going to go for a Palace victory and say that they come out as 2-1 winners against Newcastle. Next up, we're talking about the Toffees taking on the Hornets at Goodison Park as Everton clash with Watford. Everton were beaten last time out by West Ham last weekend, whilst Claudio Ranieri's return to the Premier League wasn't exactly a happy one, as his new Watford side got absolutely thumped 5-0 by Liverpool. Everton looking to go back to winning ways, whilst this is a kind of must-win game for Watford in all honesty, with some massive games on the horizon. Some of the top clubs in the Premier League are set to clash with Watford at some point in the very near future. This is one of the more favourable fixtures, in all honesty, when you compare it in all comparison, that they've got coming up. So this is a big game if you're Watford. In saying that though, I think that Everton will just about edge this game, and that's why I'm going to go for a 2-1 home win. Ellen Road plays host to our next game of focus as Leeds United clash with Wolves on Saturday afternoon. Leeds were beaten 1-0 by Southampton last time out, whilst Wolves fought back from 2 goals down to win 3-2 against Aston Villa. Big game, interesting game. Leeds have been somewhat underwhelming this season, I think it's fair to say. The upside this week is that Rafinha is back for them, but they do need to get some points on the board ASAP. Whilst Wolves showed great mental strength to come back and fight against Aston Villa last week from 2 goals down. And therefore, this game seriously could go any which way. I'm going to call it down the middle though. I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw. Next up, the Saints take on the Clarets at St Mary's as Southampton face Burnley. Southampton picked up their first win of the new season last weekend following a 1-0 victory over Leeds, whilst Burnley are still without a win this season after losing to Manchester City 2-0 last weekend. Interesting game between two potential relegation rivals or candidates, however you want to put it. So it's a chance for one of these sides to get one over on the other. It could go any which way. Burnley have the capability of grinding out a win, while Southampton have battled hard this season but have lacked a cutting edge to take more points from the games that they already have. My prediction for this game, I can see maybe Southampton winning it, but I'm going to call it again down the middle. I'm going to go for another draw here. Call it gut instinct or whatever you want. I'm going for a 1-1 draw. Saturday's evening fixture sees Brighton host Manchester City at the Amex Stadium. The Seagulls drew 0-0 with rock bottom Norwich last time out, while City beat Burnley like they always do. Brighton flying high in 4th, taking on City, who they could overtake this weekend should obviously they win in this game. While City are looking to leapfrog Liverpool and possibly Chelsea, depending on their result obviously, this weekend and go top of the table. It's a big game, could be very entertaining between two very good footballing sides. Definitely worth watching for your Saturday night's viewing. My prediction, as much as I want the Brighton to get a result in this game, and it's definitely possible, don't get me wrong, but I'm going to have to give City the edge in this game. I think the smart bet and the smart money is to go with City, and that's why I'm going to say 2-1 to Man City in this game. We move on to Sunday's fixtures, and first up we have Brentford against Leicester. Brentford suffered a defeat to Chelsea last time out as they lost 1-0, but they didn't go down without a fight and were a little unlucky not to have got anything from that game. Whilst Leicester pulled off a fantastic victory over Manchester United, beating the Red Devils 4-2. Interesting game this one. Brentford have been very entertaining and very exciting to watch during this campaign, whilst Leicester have been pretty inconsistent, which is a bit of an understatement, but maybe last week's win over Manchester United might ignite their season properly. It's also worth remembering that Leicester were involved in Europa League action this week as they won 4-3 in their game, so maybe that could play a bit of a factor in this fixture. But it overall could be a very, very good game on our hands here. And my prediction is that whilst it could go any which way, I'm going to go again down the middle. I'm going to call it a draw and say that this game will end 1-1. Next up, our penultimate game on this list sees a bit of a London derby play out at the London Stadium as West Ham clash with Tottenham. Both sides come into this game off the back of victories. The Hammers beat Everton last weekend 1-0, whilst Tottenham rained on the parade of Newcastle last week by beating the Magpies 3-2. Big game, another interesting game on our hands. London derbies tend to be that way anyway. It's a game that could go any which way. Form goes out the window, all the cliches that go with a derby. And this game in particular has thrown up some very exciting games in the past. Remember last season when it was a 3-3 draw where West Ham came back from 3 goals down within the final 10 to 15 minutes or so to take a point from this game. Exactly, that example alone should say that this is going to be a very interesting game ahead. My prediction for this one, though, is 2-2, with both sides being a bit inconsistent this season, in particular Spurs. It's very difficult to call, but I'm going to go with a 2-2 draw and call it down the middle. And finally, easily the biggest game of this round of fixtures, without a doubt, arguably the biggest game in club football in general, headlines this weekend's round of Premier League fixtures as Manchester United host Liverpool at Old Trafford. United come into this game off the back of a defeat to Leicester, but they did have much more greater success midweek in the Champions League, where they beat Atalanta 3-2. And whilst that has caused uproar with the crowd, there is much pressure on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to get some kind of good result in this game. But they, of course, are against a Liverpool side who are firing on all cylinders right now in an attacking sense. And last week's 5-0 victory over Watford and 3-2 victory over Atletico Madrid midweek should obviously give the Reds all the confidence they need going into this game. It's a big game, this one. You don't need me to tell you that. I've already said that this is arguably the biggest game in club football, as it is a global phenomenon of a game. It's all about who wants it more on the day. United may come into this game with chaos occurring within their club, but they tend to turn up the style and turn up the performance level against Liverpool, particularly when it is at Old Trafford. But the Reds, like I say, they're on fire right now and are obviously building up a title challenge, and this will still be a big challenge for them. But if they can get a result here, it will lay down a big statement going forward. I'm going to do more of a preview on this game in a bit more depth. That will come out over the next couple of days. So I would just simply give my prediction with the form of Liverpool, with Mohamed Salah particularly being on fire and being the best player on the planet right now. No argument there. I'm going to go for a Liverpool victory and say that the Reds come out as 3-1 winners. But of course, as I always say, these are just the thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, whatever you want to call it at this guy. I want to know what you guys think. What do you make of this weekend's round of Premier League fixtures? What are your own predictions for this weekend's fixtures? And also, who are your fantasy football picks? Who do you see having a bad weekend? Who are you taking out? And who do you see having a good weekend and therefore putting into your teams? I'd love to know your thoughts, comments, opinions, and most of all your predictions, of course, down below in the comment section, because I'm sure they'll all make for interesting reading. Otherwise, hit that like button on it if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you're new or want to see more content like this. Both things are always and would be greatly appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch, this has been another Premier League prediction show, and I will see you all again soon in another video.